Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Grounded, where you get real life topics from a biblical perspective. My name is Brian Boyd. Today's topic is the power of discipline. And everyone, I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. And before we dive into this episode, please be sure to like and follow the Grounded Podcast, whatever platform you happen to be listening on. And with that being said, let's talk about discipline, everyone. And this has been something that has been on my mind a lot recently. And it's been something that I have been really trying to focus on, man, because one of the things that I've learned from reading the Bible and just from the Lord showing me this is that we have to learn how to manage each and everything that we're doing. While it is important that we have goals and dreams and we're going after these things, the only way that we're going to get there is if we stay disciplined throughout the journey. Yes, there will be times where we'll be motivated. There'll be times where we feel like we can do anything, we can crush anything, any obstacles or hindrance that come in our way doesn't do anything but move us more. But there will be times where the opposite is the case. There'll be times where we're completely exhausted. There'll be times where we're completely discouraged. And in those times, we have to have the discipline and the consistency to get through those low points, to get through those times where motivation can't carry us over. And that can only be done by mastering the concept of discipline. And while that is such a simple concept in theory, it is so hard to apply, right? And that's what we're going to talk about tonight, because I'm going to give you some tips, give you some tricks, give you some things that you can do to make sure that you can have a more disciplined life. And while there may be some really disciplined people out there, I know that this is something that we can all improve on, because if the better that we get at doing this, the far easier our goals and things will be to accomplish. All right. So with that being said, we're going to jump into Luke chapter 16, verse 10 tonight to explain this. And it reads that whoever can be trusted with very little can be trusted with much. And whoever is dishonest with very little will also be dishonest with much. And the backing context of this verse is Jesus once again giving his disciples and the people that are listening another parable. And in this particular parable, he's talking about how people can be trusted, how people are able to manage the things that they have. Because if you're able to manage the things of this world, if you're able to manage the stuff that you currently have, then you will be entrusted with true riches down the line. And that's something that has been an overcurring theme in the Bible, about learning how to manage your life at every single area. So not just your spiritual walk, but your physical walk. So understanding how to manage your health, managing your finances, managing your thoughts and your emotions, all of those things come under this whole concept. And the only way that you manage this is through discipline. And with that being said, the first point that I'm going to cover here is the first piece of this verse, and it reads, whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. And the summary for this particular piece of the verse is that you will only get the things that you can handle. All right. So the best example of this that I can explain this story with would be the parable of the talents. And this is going to come from Matthew chapter 25, verses 14 through 30. And just a quick overview of that particular story. The master is getting ready to leave his house. This is how Jesus sets it up. All right. And on his way to go on this journey that he's getting ready to take, he leaves his servants three things. So the first servant he gave 5 talents to. This is money, of course. The second one he gave 2 talents to. And then the third one he gave 1. All right. And immediately the verse says that he gave them what they could handle at that time. So they got those talents based on what they could already handle. And that goes with the first thing of, you can be trusted with whatever it is that you have. So the person that had 5 was capable of managing that 5. And so the person that had 2 and the person that had 1 as well. And that just goes to the concept of life. We're only given the things that we can manage at that given point in time. But the thing is, that doesn't mean that we don't have the opportunity to get more. It just means that we have to use what we have to get more of what we want. All right. And that comes from even in that parable, because after that, the verse says after that, that the first 2 invested their talents and doubled what they started with. So the one that had 5, he immediately went to invest that money, and he ended up making 5 more. He ended up with 10. The one that went and invested the 2, he came back with the 4. But the thing about this parable is that at the very end, when the master did return, he rewarded them because of the work that they did. He rewarded them because they were able to use everything that they had at that time and then create a return on that thing. they were basically able to flip the money that they received. All right. And because of that, he rewarded them with even more. The more concept of this particular story is that when you get stuff in life, no matter what that is, your whole goal is to maximize that and to use those things to get more what you want. So for example, right, I have the gift of being able to talk and communicate, right? And with that communication, I have to always be able to improve on that communication. I can do that through education. I can do that through application. I can do that through learning how other people communicate. But regardless of whatever means I use, my whole goal is to become a better communicator, because the better I become at communication, the better I can understand people. The better I can understand people, the better I'll be able to negotiate with them. And the better I'm able to negotiate with them, the better ways I'm able to get the things that I want and need from them, and also meet the needs that they have as well. All right. But with that example, the concept is that everything that you have to be able to maximize that to every extent. So for instance, if I get $100, right, my whole goal is to figure out how I can use that $100 to make more smarter financial decisions and to make more money off of that $100. So I may once again go and invest in education. I may invest in books, courses, podcasts, or whatever, and learn how to use that $100 to the fullest extent that I can use it to. If I have a bag of groceries that I got from the store, my whole goal is to figure out how I can stretch those bag of groceries to get the most meals out of whatever it is that I bought. All right. When it comes to even you on your day-to-day basis with the 24 hours that you have, your whole goal is to figure out how you can use that time to the best of your ability so that you can get the most work that you can get done as possible, while being able to sit back and rest, because balance is key. But the whole goal of this is that if you learn how to manage these things on a small level like this, and while it does seem small, it will allow you to manage bigger things. You'll go from managing $100 to $1,000. You'll go from one bag of groceries or a basket of groceries to two baskets of groceries. You will go from being able to manage one skill set that you have to managing two. But regardless of that, you have to start from where you are. And if you're able to grow those things, you'll be rewarded for it. It may not always be money, but you will have some form of measurable growth that you can attain to the stuff that you did. And all of that started from the focus that you put forth in this moment. So moving forward, the question is that I have to ask first and foremost is, what do you have in your life right now that you can manage easily? What's something that you can use that you can improve on at this point in time? And then secondly, what are the steps that you need to put in place to improve the stuff that you're working on? And then last but not least, what are some other ways that you can do this in other areas of your life? So for instance, you may have picked something physical. This may have been something about going to work out maybe 3 or 4 times a week. All right. Now, how can you transfer that to health? How can you match up your meal plan with the workout plan that you have going on? If this is in education, right? If you're going and studying or reading a few hours every day, how can you transfer that into something else? How can you transfer that into your finances? Okay. But regardless of whatever it is, understand how you can start in one area and how you can expand that to other aspects of your life. Moving right along, though, the second point that I want to touch here is the second piece of this verse. And it reads that whoever is dishonest in very little will also be dishonest in much. And the summary of this piece of the verse is that you will lose what you have and more if you don't learn how to manage it. Okay. And in this parable, the other servant, the one that had the one talent, he, instead of investing it like the other two did, he went and buried the talent in the ground. So, and when the master came back, the master called him dishonest. He called him lazy, and he called him evil because he had misused the thing that he was given. And he told him that if he even chose not to do the stuff, whether that was out of fear or just laziness, he should have went and invested the money somewhere else so that that money could have made a return for him. So that even though he had that small amount of money, it could have been flipped and made into something greater. And that just comes for us in life, okay? Because there are times in life where we will misuse the stuff that we have, whether that's money, whether that's time, whether that's our own physical health. We may not eat the foods that we're always supposed to eat, but regardless of whatever area of life that in, when we misuse that stuff or we don't do the stuff that we're supposed to do, we have adverse effects to those things that may happen. So for instance, if I don't manage my money the way I'm supposed to, I may end up broke. If I don't manage my meals and stuff like I'm supposed to and work out when I should, I may end up overweight or in bad health. If I don't manage the skill sets that I'm on, if I don't manage my learning and my education towards growing my business or being in my career field, then I may be in jeopardy of losing my career or my business. But regardless of whatever it is that you're in, if you don't manage the stuff that you have right now, if you don't use it properly, then there's a good chance that you may end up losing it in the future. And of course, with this being grounded, I don't want any of that to happen to any one of you. So I want you all to truly think about what you could do to get that. And then even in the end, that's what happened to the servant, because the master had ended up taking the servant's money. He gave it to the one that had the 10 talents of money. And then he threw him into prison because he had misused his stuff. And that just goes in the whole concept of time, of understanding that we have to take discipline in each and everything that we do, because we don't necessarily want to be in this situation. And while this is a physical definition of what happened, then we may not be thrown into prison or none of that other stuff for the work that we did, but we will suffer regardless if we misuse the things that we were given. So with that being said, the whole summary for this and for this episode really is that you have to learn to manage what you have, because what you don't manage, you will end up losing. And some of the best ways to manage the stuff that you have, of course, is to make checklists and to make lists of stuff that you have to do. So for instance, if you have to go and eat, make a meal plan of the meals that you want to eat throughout the day or throughout the week. If you want to work out, you can do the same thing. Find a workout plan online or create your own workout plan and get to work. If you have finances, manage what you're doing in what areas. So you may allot a certain amount to entertainment, bills, personal expenses or whatever, but figure out how you can make lists and make processes that will help you improve your discipline in those areas. And then just from a concept of time management, make a checklist for that stuff too. Wake up every morning, write down a list of stuff that you need to complete throughout the day, and then check it off as you get it done. Try to find ways that you can improve the stuff that you're doing. So for instance, you may be a person, you may not necessarily like reading or listening to podcasts, but you may play this stuff in the background while you're working. And in that way, you're able to increase your productivity because you're able to do two things at one time. You're able to knock out a boring task with a task that you may find interesting, all right? But regardless of that, your whole goal is to simply maximize the stuff that you're doing. And then I guess last but not least, have a morning routine, okay? Because what I figured out in my recent time is that as I wake up in the morning and I have a list of things in my mind that I want to do each morning, my whole day tends to work out better. So I'll wake up in the morning, may get down and pray a little bit, read the Bible, walk around, do a little exercise or whatever, and then I'll start my day, get to work, and do everything that I'm supposed to do. But regardless, have something that you want to do for you. You may get up, do all those stuff, fix your breakfast, go out the door, work, whatever. But regardless, find a morning routine, find something that you can do, because what I've seen is that the more consistent that you are with having lists and having the ideas of what you want to do, the better things get done and more things that will get accomplished over a long period of time. But with that being said, that pretty much wrap up this episode tonight. So if you got something out of it, please be sure to like and share this across whatever platform you have to be listening on, and be sure to tune in for more grounded content. All right, so next week we're rolling out the business week of the wisdom series, and it's gonna be interesting, y'all, so y'all be sure to tune into that. And if you haven't got the journal already, all you got to do is go to thegroundedpodcast.com/store. It'll be there, all right, for you to download. But with that being said, I love each and every one of you, and I will see you all next week. All right, my name is Brian Boyd. I'm signing off. Peace. Hey everyone, Brian here once again. Thank you so much for tuning in to Grounded. If these messages have been a blessing to you, please consider donating at thegroundedpodcast.com/donate. Furthermore, if you're looking for books and journals and other resources that will help improve your life, business, and relationships, please be sure to check those out at thegroundedpodcast.com/store. As always, it's been a blessing. I truly love each and every one of you, and I truly hope to see you all once again very soon. All right? Peace.